Dag nabbit. The ads still popped up on my computer, even though I tried to mute them. Is anybody? Okay, good. Nobody's in yet. It was in like the first 4 seconds, so they didn't hear the sounds of the advertisement. Okay, we got that there. What else do I want here? Oh, I also want the outline. You have a news article? Cool. And cool. Okay. We'll just give it a couple of minutes before we go for real life. Talking about the Nerdy Griffey yesterday. Sorry. I was saying something and I forgot what it was. Oh, yeah. That I went on a rant with Cheyenne and Anthony yesterday about how I feel like all professional sports should be communistic in nature, that all finances should go into the Major League Baseball organization and then be evenly distributed to individual teams, because as it is, the New York Yankees could buy like 4 other teams, just buy them, if not more. And so it makes it so that the Yankees can afford to get all the best free agents and all the best whatever. Whereas if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, you're like scraping to get by. Yeah, it's fans. It's fandom. The Yankees, right, and investors for sure. The Yankees, the Red Sox, who else? There were a few teams that have been there since before the creation of the MLB. They've been there for 140 years now. And so it's generations upon generations of fandom. And so I think that it would improve the sport as a whole, therefore increasing the profit margin across the board. Now, will it make every team as profitable as the New York Yankees? No. I would say 5% of the sport would have to take a hit, so the other 95% can make the whole sport better, to make this better as a whole. But the money's got to go somewhere, so a salary cap on teams means that investors just make more money. Not investors, like suits. People behind the scenes make more money, and at that point, that's when you get strikes. Strikes come in because the players feel like they're not getting paid enough. Oh, right, yeah. All right, we ready? All right, 3, 2. Hey, welcome everybody. We are here. It's the Nerdy Gritty pre-show. Fox. Okay, here's a fun fact about Kyle Fox. He actually does a pretty good robot. That I can't
It's been a while since I've practiced, but yeah.
Yeah. So hey, welcome. We're glad to have y'all in the chat room here. Fargo Fox should be an interesting podcast. Curious to see your take on faithful representation of Christianity in fiction. Compare and contrast Jim Butcher to someone like Frank Peretti. Oh, Frank Peretti.
Frank.
Oh, Frank. That is.
Oh, Francis.
We'll get there. Oofa doofa. Both oofa and doofa. We'll get there. I have thoughts on old Francis Peretti III. I don't know if he's the third. I have one.
That's it. No,
I have one curl sticking up right here, and it's driving me crazy. And I'm trying, like, I'm in camera. I'm using my camera as a mirror to try and fix it. I'm just gonna tilt my head forward a little bit, and I'll hide it like that. There we go. I'll do the whole podcast like this. Hey, so okay. Here's our pre-show topic, our pre-show conversation right here. You know, I wasn't going to say, what do you want for Christmas? That was going to be my pre-show topic, but now I kind of want to say, okay, if I ask now, who has been your favorite, like, most effective religious character in fiction, can we talk about that now, or is that something we should say for the podcast?
No, let's talk about that now. Like, okay, so we're talking about, I mean, obviously we're going to be, this is kind of a continuation of our, Bechdel test, Christian Bechdel test a little bit.
Right.
So you're asking who passes that test in a really good way, I guess, is what you're saying?
But not just Christian. This can be any religion. Like, who is a good, like, a well-represented religious person in fiction. And so this is a pre-show. So chat, you here too. Go ahead and jump in on this. A good religious character in a show. Michael Carpenter is my go-to as well, man. Michael Carpenter and Jim Butcher books in the Dresden Files. He is, like, to me, and I'm going to say a phrase and then I'm going to clarify the phrase. To me, he is the perfect Christian. When I say that, I don't mean that he is a perfect person. I don't mean that he is the holiest, most perfect person on the planet. What I mean is he is a perfect representation of what a Christian should be. And Jim Butcher writes him so well. It's hard for me to believe that Jim Butcher himself is not or was not a Christian at some point in his life. Like,
has such a positive take on the person.
And not just positive, but correct. Just such correct theology and correct understanding that it's so hard for me to fathom. Like, are you sure? Are you sure?
Or at least some good research.
Right. Very, very good research, and not failing the Bechdel test research.
I started listening to a podcast I'm gonna talk later about, but it's got horror movies on my mind, and a lot of horror movies basically are the, like, epitome of religion is the bad,
Of course.
But I would say that, ironically, I mean, The Exorcist is obviously an excellent movie, but both of the priests in it, especially Karras, the younger one, probably I would say are up there for some of the best. Like, to me, what makes a really good religious character a lot of times is vulnerability and doubt. Like, as in, well, I'm not bulletproof. I don't believe, like that kind of thing. And I would say that these two characters, especially the younger one, and then his, I mean, spoilers, but his willing to sacrifice himself kind of situation. Those movies are not about, The Exorcist is not about the exorcism, really. It's not about the demon.
It's about the character of the
religious.
The
it's really more about, the priest and what's her name's mom,
Reagan.
Reagan's mom in it, like, where they
Ronald
are just
Reagan's mom. It's really
Ronald
weird. It
Reagan's
just goes, it's
mother.
like goes off to the side, and you see like this little vignette of Ronald Reagan's mom, and it's weird.
She's just there, but it works so well.
Right? Yeah.
But I would say Father Karras is probably one of my top religious figures in a movie.
Okay. Here's a really, really good one. Oh, Fargo Fox, in Butcher's own words, he grew up on the fun side of fundamental Christianity.
The fun side, I put the fun in fundamental.
A really good one for a fake religion. Chirrut Imwe in Rogue One. I am one with the Force.
Oh
The Force is with
yeah,
me. The way
yeah,
that he describes his belief and the way that he acts upon his belief, but does so in a way that is a proper representation of the belief. Like to me,
yeah.
he's the true neutral on the D&D alignments. Like he's not a good person or a bad person. He is one with the Force, and the Force is with him, and that's it. Like he does what he feels the Force wills, and that's it.
I would, yeah, I would say he is the most interesting the Force has ever been to me.
Mm, mm.
Because I mean, obviously, there's some interest, like when like the Force is just a magical power for throwing rocks or
Excuse
flipping.
me, it's science and they're midi
No,
chlorians.
you
Excuse
said it.
me.
You said it, not me. No, I'm saying is when that's what the Force is depicted as, it's just magic. It doesn't matter
Right,
to me. Like
absolutely yes.
it can still be fun. There can still be cool action, but like in the original trilogy, the most interesting Force moments are like the training with Yoda and talking about it's around us. It's around, like it's more of this, you know, thing like that. And I think
Why did he ruin it with midi chlorians? It
he
was
did.
such a beautiful, wonderful thing.
George Lucas did not understand his own creation.
Right? Yeah, exactly
He
that.
did not understand what made it good.
We didn't
And
want an explanation. We did not want one.
it made it, I'm not saying an explanation could have been always going to be worse or always make it worse, but it pretty much always would, especially if George Lucas is trying to write it. He's not a good writer.
Lucas has proven that often enough. Yeah, Fargo Fox, absolutely. That he does not understand his own works, man.
Does not understand his own work.
It's so weird that he, in a fit of passion, in a fever dream, wrote these first three movies. And then he made the first one, and it was very, very good. But for whatever reason, he had this like moment of clarity where he realized, I'm not the one to make the next two. I will write them and let somebody else direct them. And they were better for it, in my opinion. Great films.
I think the major, yes, I mean, not Return of the Jedi, but
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. But I think he did not have the clout to not have anybody say no. By the time the prequel trilogy came around, he was literally a billionaire already, and also was George Lucas. Like he had this
Yeah.
like mythical, he created Star Wars, super popular movies, and so he could just say no, like I'm going to do what I want, and nobody was willing to or was able to say no, which is it's I mean it's essentially what happens with like Hideo Kojima too, where it's like he's given this leeway because he's regarded as this genius, and he makes great games, but sometimes you need somebody to say no.
He sometimes needs somebody to slap him and be like, Hideo, stop it.
Yeah, what he needs is the ability to have somebody else's brain and then play his own game.
Yes.
And then say, oh, that's what
okay, right.
I see. So maybe the peeing thing.
Yeah, poop and pee bombs destroying oil ghosts isn't as cool as I thought it was.
Do you think he just like had a Mad Lib? He made a Mad Lib.
If it's a Mad Lib, it was actually done by a middle schooler. That's how poop.
Yes,
and
that's what I'm saying. He made a Mad Lib with the blanks and then gave it to his 4-year-old nephew.
All right, challenge accepted. I got this, man.
I'm gonna make a game out of this now.
We all need that accountability partner, even Hideo and George. That's right, Fargo Fox. Absolutely, yes, man.
That's the more you know. Inspiring text.
The more you know. Okay, other religious folks in fiction.
I appreciate the pastor in Footloose.
Okay. Okay.
I've only watched Footloose once. I knew what it was, and then my wife was like, "I love this movie. Let's watch it." And I was like, "Okay." And I was shocked at how like actually legitimate it was. Like it wasn't just fluff dance around because and with hunky Kevin Bacon, it was like a legitimate like movie. Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't fun dancing either. I'm just saying like there's the scene at like the town hall meeting where Kevin Bacon goes and like says like, "Hey, David danced before the Lord," and like and things like that. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like this is an actual argument he's making, and then the actual story is about the pastor changing and not. So anyway,
Oh.
the story of the movie is the pastor changing his mind, changing his ways, seeing somebody else's point of view. And so I appreciated that movie. It had more depth than I expected to. But so I yeah, it was yeah. I'd say the pastor from Footloose is probably a good example of repentance almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm gonna toss in Aang from Avatar:
Hmm.
Last Airbender. That he's somebody who, like, to call it a religion, it may not be the right thing. It's like a belief system, being an airbender, and the way like you are an airbender, and the way that he is a normal kid and he does normal
Hmm.
kid things, and sometimes he betrays that side of him and other times, but then he recognizes it and realizes, oh, I made a mistake, I need to be
Yeah.
better. And the way that he accepts his role as the Avatar, like, all of these things are all done in this like deep belief system that he has as an airbender. The book Rise of Young-Chen is or sorry, Dawn of Young-Chen was very similar. Just like being an airbender was such a deep part of who she was, and the way that she had to justify a lot of her actions while also being an airbender was very interesting and all of that. So
Yeah, yeah. Avatar is filled with really good examples of the various ways religion can affect you and change you for better or for worse.
mm-hmm,
Aang,
mm-hmm.
Aang is obviously a really good one.
Ong.
No, I'll kill you.
Ooh, you got mad.
Um,
Fox got mad at that, guys.
still remember going to the midnight screening of the M Night Shyamalan. No, but you also have like the Uncle Iroh
Oh yeah,
and like
my
him
man,
as like
my
just this
man
like
Iroh.
just this he's stalwart and just willing to forgive his nephew's terrible crimes essentially, but wanting him to change and willing to accept punishment for something like and then plus Zuko is a really great example
Mm,
of zealotry
yeah,
and then recognizing the sin. I mean, obviously I'm using Christian terms here, but
right.
recognizing sin and repenting. And it's like there's really great examples of forgiveness and you know things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also going to say Shepherd Book.
Oh, absolutely yes.
Shepherd Book.
Absolutely
I'm a
yes.
little frustrated with how like I don't like the end point of his story. I think it's a little like waffly
I
for
don't
what they
care what
kind
you
of
believe in, Mel. Yes, you do. For 12
you
episodes,
you
you cared
do.
very much what he believed in.
And I think that a lot of that was due to the fact that the show got canceled, and so he
Right.
had to kind of wrap up some storylines here.
Yeah.
But I still do enjoy books like he's passionate, like and it's explicitly about Jesus. Like it's not. I mean, in some moments, sometimes it's just vague religion, but also he's searching and clearly has this mysterious past that wasn't able to be fully detailed because of the if you read the comics it is. But anyway, I appreciate book also.
Ever read the Pax series by Elizabeth Moon, Greatest Paladin Story Ever Told? I have not, nor have I heard of that. A Paladin story is a really, like, I've never read one before, but I could see it being a really good story. Just, having to deal with faith and violence in a way that
Hmm.
the faith still feels believable. If you just follow a crusader back in the Crusades, the faith is not going to feel as believable because what they're doing does not,
You're not willing to accept their
yeah,
reasoning.
yeah, it doesn't fit in scripture. As much as they might have all the holy pious words, it doesn't fit with scripture. But have I ever told you my head canon as to what happened between the final episode of Firefly and Serenity?
You can learn a little bit about it in the comics, but no, I haven't.
Oh,
You
real?
haven't.
Oh, I didn't know that. I have head canon on what happened and how you get from one side to the other and why Inara's not there, Book isn't there, and Simon and that River is caught, and that Simon like hates Mel all over again, like they have a terrible relationship. There was oh crap, what's the big mobster's name?
Russian man.
Yeah, Russian guy, right?
Yeah,
he ends up in the next season coming back for them, and they have to he's gonna kill all of them, or they have to pay him back somehow, like a huge sum of money. But they can't get work. They can't get work because everybody's afraid of Big Russian guy, or not Big Russian, but of Russian guy. Everybody's afraid of him. And so what it all comes down to is that Jane presents Mel with, River has a massive bounty on her head, a massive bounty, and we could get that money and we could pay him back, and then we could free River again.
Yeah, break her out.
We could break her out. In fact, we could change the whole thing. And they come up with this whole plan, and of course, everybody's against it, but there's feel like they don't have a choice, and they do it. They succeed in getting the money, but fail in breaking River out. And in doing so, Book and Inara leave. They say, I can't believe you did this. How dare you? Like, I'm so upset. We're out. We can't be a part of this anymore. We're gone. River's caught, and Simon hates Mel all over again for doing this in the first place. And that's where we start the movie.
Well, I mean, starting the movie is, yeah, that makes sense. She's not caught at the beginning of the movie. That was a flashback.
There's a flashback of freeing her.
The original time, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
okay. Hey, we should probably do a
podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everybody in the chat here. This was our pre-show. We are about to start the actual podcast, though. And what that means is that we are hoping to syndicate this someday, so that you can get it on a podcatcher. Which, by the way, if you would love to be able to listen to the Nerdy Gritty on a podcatcher sometime in the future, heading over to SavePointMinistries.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, clicking Give, and just in giving, just specifically say, hey, this is for the Nerdy Gritty to get a podcatcher. $5 a month will get us there. It'll get us started at least. And so something like that will really help us make sure that you can listen to this at any time on the run. If you're on the lam for some reason, we don't know why, that would be really, you can still listen to the Nerdy Gritty. But
if the fuzz is after you can still listen.
With that being said, that means that we can't really have a discussion with the chat in the podcast, because somebody listening to the podcast in the future isn't going to really understand what the chat is saying. So we are going to be doing this podcast, not conversing with the chat, but stick around and continue to put your thoughts in the chat, because after the podcast, we have an after podcast show in which we go through the chat, we discuss everything, we hit all the points, and we have another conversation with the chat in which we continue basically the podcast talk with the chat. So stick around. We're going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff. With that being said, Fox, are you ready to do a podcast?
I think so.
Okay, who's got the pre-intro today?
You do.
Cool. Then it's today on the Nerdy Gritty. How can religion be faithfully represented in video games? Is that what we're going with? Or in fiction, should I say?
Let's go with video games.
With video games specifically? Okay. In 3, 2, today on the Nerdy Gritty, how can religion be appropriately... No, let's try that again. Faithfully represented. Because I wanted to use the word faithfully, because it works, right?
Sure.
Today on the Nerdy Gritty, how can religion be faithfully represented in video games?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am your tortured past pastor, Fox.
I was going to say, and I am Jesus Christ, because that's the name of the game we're discussing today, but I couldn't do it.
It's factually incorrect.
I'm Dez, and I cannot blaspheme in that way. As a devout believer, I could not bring myself to say that phrase. I am not going to bring out an ego I me here. I'm not going to say I am.
Might not be. Yeah, probably not the best option. Hey, yeah. Do you use Wikipedia?
I do use Wikipedia, yes.
Of course you do. We all use
Right.
Wikipedia constantly. We should all be giving them money because of how much work they do for us, especially pastors and authors, and how many times we just kind of let's see what
Just
this
wiki it real
passage this
quick.
happened. Yeah, let's see
Yeah.
what Wiki says. Okay, so this year we have just released yesterday, 2 days ago, the top 25 articles of English Wikipedia. This is from Wikimedia. These are
Okay.
their stats.
When you say English, you don't mean England, you mean in the English language.
English language
Got it.
Wikipedia. Yes. Let's see.
You
English
know, we haven't done
Wikipedia.
in a minute a Wikipedia race.
We haven't. Those are very fun.
Those
That
are
should be a
very fun.
let's do a stream someday of a
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
If you guys don't know, a Wikipedia race is just you start on the homepage and your goal is to get to philosophy, right? That's the final goal. No. Is
Any
you right.
any article. You can
Any
just
article.
pick a
That's
topic.
what you just pick a topic. That's what it is. You pick a topic. So we'll just say Fender guitars. That's where
Yes.
you want to end up, is on the Fender Wikipedia page. You both start on the home page, and then you click random article. And only using links in the intro paragraph.
No, the whole body of the text. The
Right.
actual article's text.
In
Yeah.
the article text. Yeah. Only using links in the text of the article, you have to make your way to that topic.
You have to find the connection there. It's anyway, that's fun. Let's
It's
talk
super
about
fun.
Wikipedia though. This year, English Wikipedia received 84 billion views. This is 2023, so obviously not even done. This might go back to the same day as last year or something,
That's
but
wild.
2023.
84 billion views.
So
I feel
here's
like
what
I was like a solid 1 or 2% of that on my own.
I give it a good couple thousand, maybe 10,000. I'm on Wikipedia a lot.
Easy.
Anytime I watch a movie, it's gonna like, hey, let's see if there's any cool, interesting facts.
Oh, it's baseball
Okay.
player these days for me. With
What-
Immaculate Grid, it's probably 2 or 3 times a day I'm looking up a baseball player. Like after the
Okay.
fact, yeah, I just go research baseball players.
Well, here's what I'm gonna have you do. I've got a challenge for you.
Is it a wiki race? Because I want to do one now.
No, it's not that.
Dang it.
I want you to guess what, let's say, the top 5. What do you think, or however many? What do you think? Let's give you five guesses, and it can be any of the 25. What do you think is on the top 25 articles viewed in 2023 on Wikipedia?
In 2023 specifically,
2023. What were the top 25? I want you to. How many can you get out of 5 or 10 guesses?
COVID-19,
COVID-19.
coronavirus, COVID-19, something like that. Is that one of them? I figure.
Incorrect.
No, come on, man. I figure that's got to be something people are still like wondering about and curious about.
What is it? What is this? 2020? Come on.
It feels like it still is. Always.
Sometimes that's true. Okay. Well, you're wrong so far. Give us another
Okay,
guess.
then my other swing is going to be Donald Trump.
Incorrect.
What?
That one's surprising. That one is
What?
surprising.
Okay, I'm over
Trump is
2 right
Trump is
now?
not on there. You are 0 for 2 on Donald Trump was not on there. Maybe think more specific, I guess.
More specific.
I guess more
Okay.
like more moment in time kind of thinking rather than like big topics. I mean, there are some big topics, but like 2023 specifically, what was big this
Okay.
year?
What was big this year in the year of our Lord 2023? Like, okay, so Hamas, is that one of them? I feel like it's too recent though.
You're very bad at this.
You're the one who said what big events happened in 2023,
No,
and
you're
I'm
right.
like
That's
one of the biggest ones.
that's a good guess. I have to give it. That's a good guess. I'm surprised it's not on here. Think more. Okay.
Okay, wait. I'm
ahead.
gonna back up here because I'm trying to get all like political and whatnot.
Yes, this is. I think you're going in the right direction.
Marvel, no, yes, Marvel.
Again, you are thinking too big. You are thinking too broad.
Captain Marvel. She had a movie drop this year.
Well, the Marvels came out. That is not on here though. But that is, I will say, according to this list, that's a very good direction to go. The way you're
Okay.
thinking about it is the right
Okay.
way to think
Okay.
about it.
I got. Okay. So now we're thinking more. What's your average Joe just gonna look up randomly?
Yes.
You know, not actually caring about the world, but just like, I wonder
Well-
what is this thing. You know. Then I'm gonna go with Kang, the Conqueror.
No Kang the Conqueror.
No?
I'll tell you, there is one Marvel related entry on the list.
Man.
Kang the Conqueror was probably pretty big on the Marvel wiki, but
Yeah.
not on
Well, because
general
I was just
on
thinking to
English
myself,
wiki.
what is big in pop culture right now, but that a lot of people may not actually know about.
Sure.
And that, like, when people say King the Conqueror, they're gonna be like, "What? What is that? What is that?" But it's Marvel. I care about that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna. Man, I gotta get one. I gotta get one. This is our entire podcast now. Is me trying to
There's so
find
many that I feel
one.
like are just, they feel so obvious, but I am looking at it.
You're
so-
looking at the list here. Inflation.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you the Marvel one. Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Really?
Guardians of the
Wiki?
Galaxy Volume 3.
Why was it wikied?
It had 13 million views. It was number 23 out of 25. Let me give you a more specific topic. Movies. What are other movies?
Okay, fair
I'm gonna
enough.
give you all these training wheels here, man.
Wish.
Nope.
Elemental.
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding? What? Okay, think cultural moment. Think huge meme moment.
Morbius. I think it came out in
2023.
2023. Hang
It
on.
did not, but it did not. Huge cultural moment.
Huge cultural moment in film in 2023. Spider-Man
What was-
Across the Spider-Verse.
What was the meme of movies this year?
I'm blanking.
Oh my goodness. You didn't, I don't think you
Is
saw
it
either.
is
of
it
them.
Across the Spider-Verse?
It's Barbenheimer. Barbie and Oppenheimer
yeah,
are
Barbie and
both on
that
this
makes sense.
list.
I saw Barbie. Barbie was very good.
Okay.
I haven't seen
Oppenheimer
Oppenheimer yet. Yeah.
was 5th. Barbie was 13th. Okay, let's think big celebrity news. Big celebrities.
Man.
Who were
Taylor
who were
Swift.
the- Thank you. Dear Lord, I'm so glad you got one. Taylor Swift was number 12. 19 million views in
What?
celebrities.
Okay,
The other
here's what
big-
I want to know. Hang on, because this is I kind of want to pat Taylor Swift on the back here.
Me too. I'd love to hang out with her. She seems really nice.
Here it is. This is the question I have. Taylor Swift has been in music since she was 14 years old for 18
She's-
total years now,
She's slightly older than I am.
and she is still one of the most famous human beings on the planet.
Oh yeah, and has never really had any controversy.
Right.
Never. She
The only controversy she's ever had is people want to know who she likes.
That's not controversy. It's just gossip. She only recently
Midjourney.
close. ChatGPT. ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
was-
ChatGPT.
That's number one. ChatGPT. Number
Really?
one by 7 million. It was 49.5 million page views for ChatGPT, which was 7 million above the page for deaths in 2023.
Jeez.
Other celebrities would be, let's see.
Well, just give me all 25. Read 25
Okay.
to 1. 25 to 1.
25 to 1. Okay,
Yeah,
25. Andrew Tate.
Who?
You don't know who Andrew Tate is?
No, what's an Andrew Tate? I'm an old man.
Okay, stop. We cannot talk about this. This should be a whole top. We should have a whole podcast about how this guy is a real chud. Andrew Tate was 25. He's a misogynist douchebag, but he's rich, and so people. Anyway, it's a whole thing. He's also under investigation for sex trafficking. So, anyway, 24. Yeah, don't worry about it. Russian invasion of Ukraine was 24. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was 23. 22 is Lisa Marie Presley, probably because of the movie that came out.
Oh, right, right.
Number 21 was just the country India, the nation of India.
Why, I
20
wonder?
was 20 was Avatar, The Way of Water. 19 was Elon Musk. 18 was the United States. 17 was Matthew Perry. Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
16 was the Premier League, the soccer league. Sorry, football.
You can just say
15 was,
football. You don't have to say football.
no, that's how I say it. Um, 15 is Lionel Messi, and 14 are Cristiano Ronaldo. So we got
Yeah,
three
other
soccer in a
football
row.
players.
Got Barbie as 13, Taylor Swift is 12, Last of Us TV series was 11,
Was that this year? I thought that was the end of last year.
early this year.
Okay, okay.
It's like January and February. 10 was a movie called Pathan. Pathan. It's an Indian movie. The 2023 Indian Premier League. So an Indian soccer
I
league
forgot that
was
India is
9.
like the second most populated planet on Earth. So,
It is the second most populated planet on Earth. You are
planet
correct.
country.
Jawan,
My bad.
another Indian movie was 8. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the actual article for the person,
Yeah.
was 7. 6 was the Cricket World Cup, also a very Indian,
Right, right.
a very
Because that's the
popular
most popular
Indian
sport
sport.
in India. Yeah.
Oppenheimer, the movie, was 5th. Indian Premier League, so the same thing, but the more general page for the Indian Premier League,
So,
not
so,
just 2023.
so India is big on Wikipedia, is what we're learning right now.
The English Wikipedia, apparently.
Well, they speak
Um,
English.
it is a language spoken there, yes.
I'm pretty sure it's the largest language spoken there because it was colonized by Great Britain, like in the
I
late
mean,
1800s.
sure, maybe. Then you have the 2023 Cricket World Cup, deaths in 2023, and the number one Chat GPT. That is what English GPT user or English Wikipedia users were interested in this year. We're looking up
Let's
languages in
see.
India right now.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is good audio.
No, dang, it's not even in the top 5.
Man, there's a lot of languages spoken in India,
Yeah.
like thousands.
Hindi is the number one, which I mean, that would have been my guess for the second, but I
What
assumed it was
what an
English.
American. Well, that's our Wikipedia report. You're welcome, world. You've got important knowledge now. Let's move on.
Let's
What's
move
going on
on
in the news?
to a little bit of news. I had like 4 different news articles, and I had to narrow it down to one. So here's what I'm going to say. Actually, you go first in case we cross over, and then I have a plethora of options.
Okay, well I've got let's get inside the cage for a cage match real quick. We got some Nicolas Cage news going on. So he recently did an interview for Vanity Fair where he has decided that he may have 3 or 4 movies left in him.
Okay.
It seems as though he's planning to stop acting.
Now's the time
To
for
stop
that.
acting.
He's having a renaissance. Like there was
Yes.
a while there when he was just the pits. And let me be
It's
clear about my opinion on Nicolas Cage. He's still kind of mostly the pits.
He's wonderful.
It's when
How dare
movies
you.
cast him expecting him to be the pits that he really shines. That's really what it is.
Currently, it is truly the age of Cage. You're right. But yeah, he said he's got 3 or 4 movies left in him. It's actually pretty interesting. He's talking about his dad died when he was 75, and Nicolas Cage just turned 60 or is about to turn 60. And so he's like, I've got maybe 15 years left if we go by that, and I'd like to spend more time with my family. Now, it's not like he's making some sort of like, legally binding declaration or
right.
anything, but it seems as though he's just about done acting. He might do some TV as part of this like end of the career type thing. Who knows?
Nick, don't do that. I think that would be a bad
sometimes
idea for him.
He specifically referenced Bryan Cranston, who made a big shift in his kind of whole career when continuing in TV. And
From
TV is
Malcolm in the Middle, right? Was that what he was doing at first?
He was in Malcolm in the Middle, and then there was
he
a
did
while.
Breaking Bad.
there was a big change, the big time in between that, yes, but Breaking Bad was after Malcolm in the Middle, yeah. But anyway, so here's what I want to happen is Nicolas Cage says he's got a few more movies left. and Quentin Tarantino says he's only going to direct one more movie. Let's get both of them for their final act out there. Let's get Quentin Tarantino's final movie starring Nicolas Cage in. I want Nicolas Cage's best role ever. Like he leaves it all out on the field for Quentin Tarantino's last thing, and then both of them silence. You never hear anything from them ever again.
I don't know that Nick Cage could handle a Tarantino film, man.
Oh, no, he absolutely could. Don't even. You haven't seen the right Nicolas Cage movies, my friend.
I mean,
I just watched Raising Arizona a couple of weeks ago for the first time. Excellent
his Academy
movie.
Award. No, it's a very, very good movie.
Excellent movie.
Yes.
And then you have things like Pig and Adaptation, and apparently this new movie called Dream Scenario, in which there's award buzz for him. Like, he could do it. 100% he could do it.
Man.
Quentin Tarantino is known for bringing in surprising actors and getting great performances out of them.
Let's
true.
Do that. That's true.
Yeah.
Tarantino does a great job of getting
Let's do it.
stellar
Come on, why
performances
not?
out of these actors.
Do it, coward.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Man, especially thinking of him in television, there's only so much Nick Cage before he's not good anymore.
Sometimes, yeah.
When you have a TV show that you're seeing him, every episode.
I think he's been too memed. I think he's got great performances that you want more of, but anyway, we'll move on. Is what I'm trying to say here.
Okay, I will not talk about the fact that there is a YouTube channel that's doing Pokemon nature documentaries. Like, I will not.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. You sent that to me, but I haven't watched any of them yet. But they look fun.
It's real fun, yeah. And it's basically reading the Pokedex which is usually like really blunt and crazy. So like, it's just
sometimes it's bonkers. Yeah.
A calm British man saying that the Phantump is the spirit of a child who was lost in the forest and died, and
There's a little Irish there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of forest and died. Okay, so but no, what I am going to talk about. Did you know that there's a Squid Game reality TV show?
Yeah, I've seen commercials for it, I think on YouTube or something.
So,
which feels too meta.
It's it's layered in this meta way that I'm not sure if it's brilliant or stupid. Like, or ironic, or because the whole point of Squid Game, which my opinion, Squid Game, not great. I was not a fan of it. It was trying to make a point, but it was like incredibly gory in an unnecessary way to try and make that point. But anyway, the whole point of it was this idea of capitalism as controlling the underprivileged in a way that everybody's just kind of okay with, and had this meta commentary.
Yeah. Right.
But then to, in real life, get people and say, now you can compete for a bunch of money. Again, I'm not sure if it's missing the point or incredibly meta. Like, I'm still not sure yet.
I mean, I assume they don't, but do they die if they lose? Because that's what happens at Squid Game, right?
They have black ink squibs. So their like jumpsuits get stained with black ink, and that means they're dead. It's supposed to like represent the.
Oh, let me know when they actually die, and then I might be interested.
Well, here's the other thing, though, is that
yeah, this is like making an actual battle royale reality show.
Well, and then on top of this, Hunger Games style,
or battle royale.
It turns out that the reality TV show itself was horrific to the contestants.
Well, that just seems on brand.
But at the same time, it shouldn't be. Like, again, I'm not sure what. So to the point that apparently there was like freezing temperatures while they were doing the red light, green light scene. But they weren't allowed to wear anything over their jumpsuits or anything underneath that was too baggy. They wanted it to look exactly like the show.
Sure.
And they were apparently out there so long that some people got frostbites, like, and lost like some nerve function and whatnot. And there wasn't enough food for everybody. They're saying
Wait.
like it's.
So are they suing? Is that what's going on?
So
or
some
what's
people are
the-
suing them. Yes, they're being
Okay.
sued as well.
Well, maybe they'll win even if they lost the game.
And so again, it's just this whole thing.
It feels weirdly. You can't tell.
You can't. It's exactly that. You can't tell. Like, hold on. Like,
Do you think their legal defense will be like, Judge, have you watched the show? This was all on purpose. What did they think they were getting into?
I just, again, if the creators came out and looked at the camera and said, "This is exactly what the show was," except at least we didn't kill them,
We're saving you. You're welcome. You're not dead.
Like
you
who-
only have frostbite.
then who's the fool there, right? Like, who's? Then we all look at ourselves and we're like, "Oh yeah, that's."
Oh right.
Oh, dang it. But it's like, I don't know. It's so weird and it's so bizarre. And again, there's so many layers here that every single time I'm like, that's stupid. Then I'm like, but it's supposed to be stupid. That's
But is
brilliant. Then I'm
But
like, oh,
it's
wait, but it's
not.
not brilliant. It's really stupid.
It
That's
really
wild.
bakes the noodle, doesn't it? Well,
it really
good
bakes the
luck.
noodle.
Yeah, I won't watch it either. So
Yeah.
I hope it's good or whatever.
I disagree. Hope it fails miserably.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that nobody's going to sign up for season 2 after the first season. They got sued because of mistreatment.
I'm of the opinion, and I got this way about The Boys too. I watched The Boys season 1 and 2, and then I was like, I don't want to watch this show anymore.
Same. It just got too much for me.
That violence creep is
Mhm.
not making the commentary you want it to make. It's just shocking and that gross, ew.
Right. It can make the comment. It can make a commentary. It can make a point, but it can outstay its welcome and then end up being ironically like it's like satire, where if you don't do it the right way, people will just take it for not satire. People will just
Right.
think it's being correct, or it's being serious or whatever. And I think violence can do that too, where it's just like, oh, this is just the show. Like, people can detect that, at a certain point, it's not trying to make a point anymore. It's not succeeding anymore. Now it's just going the other direction, where it's just reveling in the violence, which
Exactly.
is the opposite direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, hey, should we get down the nitty gritty?
Let's do it.
So, years ago,
Yes.
there was a video game announced called I Am Jesus Christ.
Correct.
And the point of this video game was to first person mode be Jesus and go through the Gospels. Now, when this was announced years ago, we actually did a podcast on it.
We did.
A hojillion years ago. I can't believe we've been doing this podcast for that
We
long.
were but babes.
But I mean, I'm still a babe.
Correct.
I can't even remember what exactly our topic was. If it was the same thing or if we had a different angle on it or whatever else.
I don't even know.
But what I will say is it has now come back as it's starting to get some like beta mode, and it's got some trailers out there and things like that.
They had a demo at one point this year.
A demo.
I wish I
and-
had played.
A few there was an article that we read that I don't have open anymore, and I'm mad at myself for that. Hey, can you pull up the
So,
article? If I try
one-
and pull up the article, it will mess up our screen here because I have us set up on Discord, and that's where I shared it with you. I just want to be
Yep, I
able
got
to
it right
cite
here.
it and who wrote it and where it came from.
Well, yeah, it's from the Indianapolis Recorder, everybody's favorite newspaper.
Everybody's favorite newspaper, the Indianapolis Recorder.
Yeah, it's from Nural Parham.
There we go.
The author is Nural Parham.
Neural actually went out and interviewed some pastors about this, some who were gamers, others who were not. And they were pretty much unanimously were saying it's bad and it feels bad and it's not good and we don't like this. This is not good. So here's what we want to talk about today. Religion in video games specifically. where you are taking on the role of somebody, where you are actually getting in there and being that person. How can it be done well? How have we seen it done well? How do we feel about I am Jesus Christ? And so we just want to generally talk about how can religion be faithfully represented in video games. So as our
Can,
kicking
can,
off, what's that?
can we talk about the game itself first?
Sure. Okay. That's literally going to say. So, like, as our kicking off point, let's actually talk about the game itself. What are your thoughts on I Am Jesus Christ? And I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on Steam and get some.
Yeah, I've got
thoughts
the
on it.
their page up right now. There are two pop culture references that I want to make that remind like of how I feel about this. The first one is an episode of Seinfeld where a rival comedian basically converts to Judaism in order to make Jewish jokes, like to be able to make Jewish jokes. And uh, Jerry goes and talks to like a priest and is like, this is happening, and the priest is like, and this offends you as a Jewish man. And he's like, no, it offends me as a comedian. And it's super funny, but this is like a crappy game about if it's about Jesus, that really it's gonna come and go, who cares, whatever. But you're making a crappy game, and that just make a good game first, and then like that. To me, I'm more offended that this based on the Steam page, it looks like hot garbage. Like it looks like nothing is what it looks like. I'm more offended by that than I am that it is that you take play as Jesus. Whatever.
I mean, this is some Elder Scrolls Oblivion stuff we got here, man. Like,
Oh,
as far as
this
like
looks
graphical
less
quality and.
sometimes, yeah, but it looks more like at the end of some episodes of like Last Week Tonight, they'll make a joke about like we made this video. The ending will be actual real life video game version of the terrible thing we're talking about, and this is what that looks like, a hastily thrown together kind of pile of garbage. But those trying to make a joke, and the joke lands. It doesn't matter if the game looks bad, the joke is landing. This is supposed to be about Jesus, and if you make I know the story of Jesus. I want a good game before I don't need to learn about Jesus through this. Anyway, the other reference I want to make is Hank Hill quote from King of the Hill. Can't you see you're not making Christianity better? You're just making insert video games worse.
Yes.
Like this is
Yes.
not adding to Christianity.
Man, King of the Hill had some surprisingly good takes on Christianity. Like
it really did.
Like across the board, it did.
Good way to talk about it. Yeah.
I'm just looking at it here, and I mean, first of all, if you put in IMJ, one of the options that pops up is I am Jesus Christ, Christ's Revenge. And it is an absolute like mocking of the other game, and it looks like the Carboys version of
that sounds more interesting to me.
It looks really, really dumb. But yeah, as we're looking at this game, and I know that this is an audio medium, and so you guys aren't really getting this, but you're seeing like hands shooting lasers out of it to fight off demons, and
yes, which is extra biblical to say.
Hands clasping together to pray in front of you, the pray power, things like that, and it feels like such a lazy way to try and gamify faith, to try and take the Bible and turn it into a video game. And it's, again, I guess you already said it. It's you're making video games worse here. Or one of the more common things that I hear today, a quote that I use a lot is, if people mock you because of Jesus, that makes sense. That the Bible says that's going to happen. If you are Christ-like and people mock you for it, expect that. If people mock Jesus because of you, that's a problem. Yeah. That's literally what's happening.
What are you doing wrong here?
Right.
Yeah, and all these screenshots and stuff, anything that is not just a static image of like a landscape,
right?
Those look pretty okay. They have good lighting system, good water graphics.
A lot of that is just base engines, though.
Insert stuff, yeah, Unreal plugin kind of stuff. But anytime, like, I'm struggling to understand what the game is. It seems as though it might just be a walking simulator type game where you kind of click and hold a button to perform a miracle, which I'm not against walking simulators. We've played plenty that are incredibly impactful and emotionally devastating games sometimes. There's some really good ones out there. This doesn't seem like it'll do this. Like, it just seems like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Why don't I just read the Bible instead? Like it doesn't seem like it's adding anything to the gospel narrative, the narrative, and so I'm just not really sure what the intended, like, the description they have is walk in the footsteps of Jesus in this incredible first person retelling of the story of Christ from birth to resurrection. First of all, are you first person when he's born? Because that's going to be an interesting part. Perform amazing miracles, interact with a cast of biblical figures, and travel around the Holy Land from Jerusalem to Galilee. Become the Messiah in I Am Jesus Christ. If it's just like a recreation, I'm not really sure what. I've read the gospel. I don't really know what else you're going to, like. What are you going to add to this process? It's baffling.
It's been scrolling through the like previews and things like that, and I got to one where he has a miracle bar in the corner. It's got the heart with the crown of thorns around it, and then a bar above it. And every time he goes around and does a miracle, his hands glow, and then the bar decreases as if he's going to run out of godness or something like that.
It's his Holy Spirit meter.
And then you're first person on the cross.
Apparently.
And it runs out while you're first person on the cross. And then the stone opens and on the resurrection day, and it refills, and it's really bad. It feels real bad, guys.
It's going to, I would say, at most be nothing, and probably be actually more damaging to theological, like to actual accurate theology.
So, okay.
Because it's trying to gamify something like, spiritual fidelity. Like,
let's talk about that then, because let's go ahead and move on from dunking on this game, because I'm guessing people who love Jesus very much and who are trying to do a good thing are making this game. And
yes, we should absolutely take it in good faith, like assume that they have good intentions in mind.
And I love their attempts, and I love their heart. That's a very important thing. But we're going to talk about other games that are doing it much, much better later. But I appreciate their heart, what they're trying to do here. But we have already seen the damage that extra biblical content can do with things like Frank Peretti, which was mentioned in the pre-chat, and with Left Behind, and Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins, where these people take biblical concepts and then they write fiction about it, and their fiction, people become so immersed in that they begin to take that fiction as gospel.
The fiction, informs their theology.
And so, like, Frank Peretti writes, like the This Present Darkness and Into the Darkness books and things like that, if I remember correctly. And these books talk a lot about like the spiritual warfare and whatnot. And it makes it very much seem like there will be people in your life that are being controlled by demons that are actively against you. And then we get this idea, and a lot of people live their life in this way, that they're the main character of their own story. And therefore, if ever anything is not going their way, the demons are against them, and not they're making bad choices and should do some different things, and whatnot. Or it ends up being like, a lot of times it'll be a poor person, and they can just assume that that person has sinned so much that they've gotten themselves in that place, and therefore they don't need compassion and whatnot. And so these books damage that. Or the Left Behind books, the way that people all of a sudden got this whole mindset of the rapture and how to be prepared, and whole rapture theology ruined.
Secret disappearing of the faithful is not supported scripturally,
right? At all. And so there were people out there that were afraid that they were going to wake up one day and they were going to have been left behind over this like non-biblical idea. And so it just, when you are creating a piece of fiction in this way, we have to understand the implications that we are making, which is why,
Mhm.
I mean, and this happens, let me be clear, this happens outside of the faith as well, with like Da Vinci
Noah.
Code, Angels and
Oh, yep.
Demons, where people thought these were like real things, that they like, oh, Judas was, or not Judas, John was actually Mary Magdalene, and Mary Magdalene and Jesus were married. It's
Married
fact.
and had kids.
Yeah, and it was fact, and the Catholic Church doesn't want us to know about it, you know, and we have to understand that our fiction still has power, and we have to make sure we're presenting this fiction in a way that honors the source, not in a way that's going to make people misunderstand it.
Sure. Now, to be fair, there is not, we cannot say that extra biblical content in a faith-based or Christian, quote unquote Christian. I want to be clear. There's no such thing as Christian anything except for a person. There's no
Right.
such thing as a Christian book. There's no such thing as a Christian
You
movie.
can't baptize
Only
a book.
you cannot baptize a book. They can't be saved by Jesus. But so when we say Christian something, we mean in the realm of faith, talking about themes of the Bible, things like that.
With the purpose of promoting Christian and biblical themes.
Sure. Yes, that's true. You don't say something that's against it is a Christian thing. Right. In this realm, though, there are extra biblical things that are also positive additions. I would say things like The Chosen are it contains quite a bit of extra biblical content, things that aren't explicitly, given in the Gospels, character development, character traits, things like that, but don't actually hurt the narrative, and in fact make the show more interesting to watch, and therefore you want to keep watching this show that is about factual, theological, historical events. Like it seeks to add to the point of it, not to be the point.
Well, what The Chosen
Yeah.
does well, and what you can do well in a video game, is anything that is extra biblical has no theological statements. There are
Yes.
theological implications that can be made. Mary Magdalene and there's a couple of women who travel with them, and you could imply the fact that, very much so imply the fact that these women are on equal footing as the apostles, and therefore women in ministry is something that should be fully supported. You could
Mhm.
imply that. It is never stated. It is never talked about. It is never part of the theme. Everything that show puts out there that you can theologically walk away with something for sure is backed by scripture.
Right. Everything else might be implied and maybe intentionally so, but is not something that you can actively point to and
Right.
say, well, obviously this is what that means. Which is why I think going with The Chosen and going with some of these other things, play a game like this where you play as Jesus is maybe the worst possible decision for telling the story of the gospel.
Yes.
Because
the
worst. The point of the gospel is not is what Jesus has done for us. The point of the gospel is Jesus. Jesus is the center, is the point.
He is the good news. Yeah.
The good news is that he has done something for us. So playing as somebody outside of Jesus is I think a better choice for conveying that message. Even just like basic storytelling wise, like having something to overcome in order to, have a turn, just basic story structure wise. And so yeah, go ahead.
Which brings me to Gate Zero. And Gate Zero is a game that is in development right now that I've played a demo of a few times. And actually on Save Point, there's a stream of it. You can actually check out our YouTube channel to go check out that stream of Gate Zero. And in Gate Zero, you are somebody who has, in the future, traveled into the past to year zero, the gate to year zero. And, actually year 30 or whatever. But,
yeah, it wouldn't be year zero.
Yeah, but you are back there, and you are witnessing the events of the New Testament as a spectator.
Yes.
which means that they have the freedom to say, we are not misrepresenting scripture in any way, shape, or form because this is a character that is outside of biblical representation. Therefore, when this kid sneaks behind some Roman guards to get some bread from the tabernacle to then come back out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's never said it didn't happen, never said does. It's got nothing to do one way or the other with scripture.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually see the apostles and see Jesus, then they're able to represent scripture wholly appropriately, which you cannot do when you play as Jesus.
Right.
Everything that you do has to be either biblically represented or misrepresented.
Yes. I mean, there are things you can depict Jesus doing that wouldn't be, like out of the, if he's, working on a, if you show him doing carpentry, that's never depicted in scripture. But if he was a carpenter,
Right,
it's,
right.
you can, you're not going to say this is blasphemy.
That's
Sure.
fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be just it. Unfortunately, it kind of does just seem from the screenshots and like the trailers and stuff. It just kind of seems to be a series of images, like a series of vignettes
A
of him
narrative.
just doing miracles for people.
Yeah.
Which, again, all of this is why I think there probably is a good game that you can make where you take where the premise is that you are playing as Jesus. I think that probably could exist somehow. How? I have no idea. That might be the hardest challenge of all time. I don't understand how it could happen. But from what I don't think they've found it, is what I'm trying to
No.
say. I don't think they've found it based on what is being shown in these trailers and whatnot. It just kind of seems like, okay, now there's a person who's blind. You got to heal them. Now you're feeding 5,000 people. Here, give them food. Okay, now you're fighting demons with lasers. Okay, wait a minute.
See,
Because that part seems extra biblical at the very least. I don't remember the laser shooting part from the gospel.
I don't know that. I won't say that you can't, obviously. I cannot possibly think of a way that you could make a good
No.
Christian video game where you take on the role of Jesus, because you'd have two choices. Either you give the player options, and at that point that player can choose to not do something that Jesus would do.
Right.
Or you make it a narrative focused game, which there's plenty of wonderful narrative focused games out there.
Yeah.
But in the best narrative focused games, the Gone Homes, the Everybody's Gone to the Raptures, the
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Sure, yes,
It's okay.
the character you play as is just a vehicle. Is just the vehicle that tells the actual beautiful story outside of you. And you can't get that if you are Jesus. He is the story. He is the good news. He needs to be the one that you are spectating. You could do that if you're Peter. You could do that if you're somebody else. But if you are Jesus, then you can't have that beautiful narrative story.
I mean, if we talk about it that way, I think the best chance you have for making a good first-person Jesus game is a visual novel, where you don't have any choice in the matter. You are witnessing a story, but it's from the eyes of Jesus. Am I saying it would be good? Probably not. What I'm saying is that might be the best chance you have. Now, what I think might be the better option is do a mix. And I mean, the thing that comes to mind is like RoboCop. RoboCop is about RoboCop. He's the main character through the whole thing, but there is an extended sequence in the middle where you're literally first-person RoboCop, and it's when he's being built and coming back to life, and it's an incredible way to tell that story. It's really cool, but most of the time it's third person, and you're seeing other stuff happen too. So I'm wondering, could we make this game not called I Am Jesus Christ? Just a bad name, just a bad title in general.
Yeah.
But could we have a story that, yes, you play as Peter for most of it, but there are some sequences where you play as Jesus and you get to see somebody, I don't know. I think if it's sprinkled into a different kind of game, I think this whole first person playing as Jesus could work in some. Maybe there are some significant moments where that would actually be a really poignant way to tell the story. I don't know. but
Maybe
overall,
I can fix the
do it
title.
different.
I can fix the title with one piece of grammar.
Okay.
An apostrophe between M and Jesus. I am Jesus Christ. I am as the title.
Oh, I see.
Like he is the I am. Like he
You
is
mean a
God.
colon?
That would work too. But
I am colon Jesus Christ.
that would also work.
And then we get a prequel game where I am Yahweh.
Exactly. Where you play first person as God, and don't do that. Hey, stop listening right now. Plug your ears. Don't do that.
It's rated AO
So
for all the people that die by your hand.
yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's talk about some other ways that to do this better. Then some ways that religion can be well represented in video games, because we're not saying that that their heart is in the wrong place. We're saying the opposite of that. It's good to want to bring biblical themes to a video game place. I have said it many times that I think that video games are the highest form of art we have right now, because it is the only art form that we interact with on a personal level, that we do the things. We actually are the ones that do these things.
Sure.
And therefore it's a very good place to try and get people interacting in this way, to be able to give grace to that. That's part of why Last of Us Part 2 was so difficult, is because of the genuine lack of forgiveness throughout the entirety of it. And it hurt, and they showed you the consequences of that. It was the most brutal count of Monte Cristo, you know what I mean? And and putting you in the role of that is so different than just watching it on television or reading it in a book. Anyway, all this to say that there are games out there that do these things. There are Christian video games. I mean, Soma Games is an entire studio of Christians that are making Christian games. There is, oh gosh, what's the name of the game? Something Aetherlight. It's a steampunky style game in which you are part of the resistance, and you're trying to find like the leader of the resistance. And it's this
the Aetherlight Chronicles of the Resistance.
there it is. Wow, it was all right there, huh? Aetherlight Chronicles of the Resistance. And it's an MMO in which you are out there completing missions to help bolster the resistance. And the whole idea is you are a Christian who is trying to get Christian, ideals out there and live Christian ways. And it's all done very well. And like, these games we are taking biblical themes and we are putting them out there in ways that people can interact with them and have conversations about them. You don't need to make it so blatant.
Hey, let's not forget Super 3D Noah's Ark.
That is still the blatant part of it. That's still that's too
No,
on the nose. When
my favorite.
When the Bible the video game or whatever it's called, when you play as Mary and you're platforming around bees, that's nothing.
That sounds hilarious to me.
It's
no,
nothing.
Super 3D Noah's Ark is just a reskinning of Wolfenstein 3D, in which instead of shooting Nazis, you shoot sleep-inducing food at angry animals on the Ark. It's so good.
It. Oh,
to me, that's
so much.
That's hilarious. See, here's the problem. Like,
I'm going to interrupt you. If you were to do that satirically, I would be into that.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. I think you could do a really great satirical, like, do you remember when the Babylon Bee actually used to be funny?
Yeah.
Like, it used to be like poking fun at Christian culture in funny ways, and then it became about
when the Babylon Bee was run by John Ford, and he didn't sell it to alt-right.
Right, before it was sold to MAGA people, and it just became they just lost all their humor.
Yep.
That is what I'm saying. Like, you could make a funny satire game that pokes fun at, make jokes about Bible things. That's fine. You can still portray a positive overall message. Like, I think that's what I have one of the big problems I have with this game is it feels like there's a lack of creativity and imagination.
Yeah.
Instead of, I'm not trying to insult the people making it. I never want to try to claim that making a game is easy and they did it wrong. I don't know how to make games. It's not an easy process. It's a very involved process. But I do have a problem with something that feels so, you said it, like on the nose. That just feels like, okay, well, we want people to know about Jesus. Okay, you just play as Jesus and you do the things Jesus did. Well, what are you providing for me as a Christian? I don't need to know that. I already know that. So I need to something in addition to that, something additive to the process, an engaging story about something other than Jesus, or innovative gameplay, or old gameplay done really well. And for somebody who doesn't know the story of Jesus, are you portraying it in a way that's actually interesting and engaging, so that they want to play it? Because as of right now, this is just that one Bible game about Jesus. And somebody who's not like, either somebody who's not if somebody's not a Christian, not even interested in becoming a Christian, they're either not going to play it, or they're going to play it as a joke.
Right.
They're gonna just gonna like play it on their stream and just laugh at it. And sometimes that might be deserved because it looks pretty goofy.
Well, and this it reminds me of, we played on our old YouTube channel. Check out Des and Fox Play
Yes.
way back in the day. We played a
Way
game
back.
called Jesus Christ RPG, which
Yes.
was this adorable little RPG that was biblically sound, took you through the New Testament, and never took itself seriously.
It was an RPG Maker
you fought
game. Yeah.
Mecha Satan at the end of it, and it was so
Yes.
goofy and so
It was
funny.
wonderful.
And I think that's great, right? That's beautiful. That's wonderful. I loved that. I think what it comes down to, with that in mind, it's a misunderstanding of the medium.
Yes.
It's a misunderstanding of the art medium, because so many people don't see video games as art. They see it as the things those kids like. And so if we can take the Bible and put it into the things those kids like, well, that's going to get all the kids to play, right? Totally missing the idea that this is an incredible art medium that can speak to the person playing it either mechanically, if you're playing a game that has solid mechanics, or narratively, and playing a game with a great story, or the best games do both. You get your Elden Rings out there, you get your God of Wars out there, these games that have both mechanical and narrative, just masterpieces. But when your whole thing is, I just want it to be the things the kids like people, for example, people who say, kids like the violent video games, so just do an Old Testament one. Do a game where you're Samson and you're out there killing a bunch of people. Like, no, again, you're misunderstanding the medium. People don't want to get out there just to do the kills and the fights and whatnot.
Well, sometimes I do, but
right. But then if you're out there just for the mechanics, you don't care about the story.
You're not telling a story.
Right. Then that doesn't matter anymore. Then you're playing Fortnite. Then you're playing, PUBG, whatever else. Great mechanical games that have very little import on the story there.
In the actual gameplay, yeah.
Even if you go with Doom, great mechanical and visual games, but the story is not important.
Hey, he had a pet rabbit that died, so he was angry. That's the game. Yes,
So,
or you go
yeah.
or you have the opposite problem, maybe not opposite, but similar in a different direction problem of the medium is just a vessel for my message.
Right.
And this is how you get things like God's Not Dead. This is how you get things like where it essentially comes off as propaganda, because
I say comes off as light.
comes off
I think
as
would be
maybe
honest.
sometimes is.
Yeah.
Again, I can't speak to somebody's motivation, but it just comes off as, I don't really like, all that matters is convincing somebody of something rather than genuinely having a story to tell. And if all you're trying to do is convince somebody, or demonize a certain person, in the case of like God's Not Dead, if you're an atheist, you're the villain. You're a comical villain.
Twirling your mustache.
Right, essentially, and then you get hit by a car and give your life to Jesus, but then die, and it's a happy ending. That's what happens in God's Not Dead. Kevin Sorbo gets hit by a car, which, hey, that's nice to see. Just kidding, that's me.
Really? Is that a real thing? That's what happens when he gets hit by a car?
At the end of God's Not Dead, the evil professor who tries to force people to say God's not dead, God is dead. Turns out really the problem was that he was angry at his dad, and he is fine with God. But then he gets hit by a car, and in his like dying moments gives his life to Jesus and then dies, and that's the end of God's Not Dead. It's hilariously stupid.
Wow.
But it comes then, because of that, it comes off as, we're not trying to tell a story. We're trying to get you to believe something. And
I just looked up the definition of propaganda.
Yes.
information, especially of a biased nature, used to promote a particular political cause or point of view. Like
Sure.
that is propaganda. Specifically, that is a film that is specifically made to promote a biased point of view, and that is done so to try and do it in like a misleading or manipulative way.
Manipulative. That's yeah, because to be clear, most movies have a point they're trying to
Right.
get across, have a
Right.
message to tell, but it's painfully obvious. It should be painfully obvious when it is being told in an organic way or being told in a okay, everything I've written is just to make the point. The characters feel fake, the story doesn't feel natural. Like story should have a point, should have a message. That's the if it doesn't, then why are you writing something?
Right.
The problem is with things like I Am Jesus, it just feels like, well, you need to believe in Jesus, so here's what Jesus did. Again, we haven't played the game. Maybe this will be a masterpiece. It doesn't seem like it's going to go that way based on what they've showed so far.
I really, I guess, I mean, I've already said it before. You've already said it too, but to kind of put my final thoughts on it,
Yes.
this is a great Christian heart misunderstanding a medium entirely. And that's what it is.
Yes. That I think that's a safe assumption.
And
Um
and so
yeah.
to properly understand the medium, you can bring Christian ideals to this medium. Absolutely. It can even be a little propagandistic. Absolutely. But when you understand the medium more successfully, you get games like Gate Zero, where you've understood this medium, that playing the video game is going to be a lot better, where you're witnessing the events and doing things off to the side. You get games like Aether Lights, and where it is a metaphor for this story, and you are taking a part in the resistance.
Thematic metaphor. Yes, 100%. A lot of games do that without even trying to be a Christian game. The ideas of like sacrifice and grace and forgiveness and love and like are just universal experiences in humanity. And so games will do this without even trying to be a Christian game,
Right.
which is why it feels so disappointing when something that is trying to portray Christianity explicitly don't do it as well. Like it really feels like, wow, okay, you really missed the bus on this one.
Which
Here's
is
my
why-
final question. Yeah, go ahead.
Which is why VeggieTales was so successful, because it was a biblical gold or like oriented thing that understood the medium. We want a
Yes.
CG children's film, and Phil Vischer and Mike Nowacki 100% they understood the assignments, and they went out there
They
and
also, also made funny jokes
Yeah,
and funny songs.
exactly.
Like most of the songs they did had nothing to do with Jesus; they were jokes.
Right.
And then they told Bible stories in funny ways. Like anyway, here's my question for you though. This game comes out whenever. It doesn't even have a release date on the page yet, and this has been at least 3 or 4 years that it's been in and out announced. You gonna play it when it comes out on the stream?
I might play
Okay.
it. I might buy it to support the developer, and then I will be 100% honest about it.
Well, let me know because I would love to jump on that stream and
Right.
and dunk on it if that needs to be
Right.
to
Because
happen.
the reality of the matter is again, I support the endeavor. I support the mindsets. I think this is something that somebody had their heart in the right place for. But at sometimes, even when our heart's in the right place, we need to be told we're doing it wrong. And I would love to support this team. I would love to support Spacebot Studios, but I will also be
Spaceboat Studios.
You're right, Spaceboat Studios. But I will also be completely honest with it. We'll see how it goes. Also, depending on the price. If it's very expensive, I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it will be, but
I don't imagine it will be.
all right. Well, that's what I got my thoughts. So, hey, you listening, let us know your thoughts. If you're in the chat, you can let us know your thoughts on I Am Jesus Christ, as well as how to do religion well in video games. If you don't know, we stream this, and after the podcast, we talk about whatever the chat had to say, during the stream as well. So you can do that. But with all that being said, Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
Well, I have things I've been up to, but my son just woke up, so I
you
think
gotta
I do
take off?
need to get going. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and take off, and
Yep.
I will chat a little bit about what I've been up to, and so we'll call that a podcast, and then I'll chat
We
what I've been
will.
up to with the thing. So
You can't prove it's not a podcast.
that's right.
Okay.
So
Bye, everybody.
bye, Fox. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. We appreciate you all being here. Hey, for those of you who, oh, right, this is going to be weird on the stream. Hang on, let's go ahead and do that right there. There we go. For those of you who don't know, this is something that we stream all the time, and the podcast, we stream it all the time. And so if you are wanting to take part in the conversation, you can head over to our Discord, or our website, and find out when these podcasts will go up, and then you can watch the stream and be a part of the conversation. Well, thank you so much to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off the album Dear Sam. Granger's awesome. You can go check out their music. And Fox usually does all this other stuff, man. What does he talk about now? Oh, we'd love it if you could support Save Point Ministries. Head over to Save Point and SavePointMinistries.com and help us out there. Fox does all this stuff, and I fall apart without him. Always remember that save lives. Bye.
My voice sings all night, and this is what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back just to chat a little bit, to dive into the chat, and to also dig to tell you about what I've been up to here. Farrago Fox, let's see here. Cage Tarantino, man, not a combo wide ship. I'm with you, man. I don't know that it would be a successful combination. I feel like both of them are extra in a way that would not complement each other. But Fox isn't here to defend himself. So, Angry Irishman, thank you for the lurk. Glad you're here, my friend. Witnessing the events is a much more compelling methodology. Yeah, and I think we agree on that. That to be able to tell a story successfully, but one of Jesus, witnessing those events is better than being Jesus and doing those things. What makes things like The Last of Us such a powerful series is that the things that you're doing aren't things that you would want to do normally. It hits you as a player so deeply because you don't want to do the things that the characters are doing, and therefore I mean, they're hard games to play. It feels bad, but it feels bad in an incredibly compelling way. Whereas if you're Jesus, you're literally perfect, and you go through the game just doing perfect things, and it's just not, again, it's not that compelling at that point. Some things I've been up to real quick. I have watched Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is a animated version of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Sort of. That's what you think at first. It starts like that. I will not spoil it because it's so good. I will say that it begins as just an animated version of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and then it takes a drastic turn, episode 1, and it's so fun. The rest of it is a delight. It really speaks to the falling in love at first sight thing and how that doesn't work, and how a lot of times relationships need to be built on more. And it does it in a beautiful and fun and way that makes your heart happy. And so absolutely, if you're a Scott Pilgrim fan, go watch Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I have read a book called Reign of Gold. Reign of Gold is, man, maybe you know what? I'm going to talk about these in the podcast next time as well. So I'll just stop with that because I do want to talk about Reign of Gold and Third Eye with Fox. So I'll just say I listened to Third Eye. It's Felicia Day's audio novel, audio performance, radio show type thing. It's worth listening to. I'll just say that. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and head out. We're going to call that a stream. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. It's been so much fun. Just a reminder that all this is a part of a larger ministry with Save Point Ministries. Our passion is for you to find a real world community. We want to do this so that you can find a place that people love you and support you with the love of Jesus, but at the same time who share your passions for video games or anime or D&D or whatever else. And so if you're out there and you're somebody who's looking for a nerd-friendly church, hey, jump into our Discord. We would love for you to join us over there on Discord and to be able to be part of the conversation. But also, there's a space there that's Find a Church. You just put in your city and state, and then I delete it because I don't want to dox you. And then we start looking for a nerd-friendly church in that area, and we get you plugged in. It's a lot of fun. It's something we love doing. So, yeah, thanks again for being here, guys. And always remember that saved games save lives. Wait, no, I did the outro wrong. I did the wrong outro. We love that each and every one of you are here today, but always remember that there's a church out there that would love it if you were there.